The team who are part of the OU, Oakwood University Design School. And we are live now on Facebook and on YouTube. And we're so excited that you decided to join us. And we want to welcome our guest today. We have an important topic to talk about. And this is something that you might want to tune in for, because you may not realize you might be able to benefit from this information that we're going to be sharing. So I'm so excited to have our guest with us today. We have the doctors from the School of Business right here on the campus of Oakwood University. Dr. Marcia Burden, and you know her because she has Burden of Proof right here on WJOU, as well as Dr. Stephen Lahing. He is here, and Dr. Richard Blanco Topping. He is the School of Business and the chair of the Oakwood University Smart Design School. Now, we've got to start right there. Thank you, guys. Welcome to Morning Joy. Okay, let's turn on the mics, Donna. There we go.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for having us.
Good morning.
Good
Thanks
morning.
for turning on the mics. Okay. So thank you for being with us today. We got to start from the very beginning, because this Smart Design School is fairly new. Tell us what inspired it and when did it begin? And let's go ahead and start with Dr. Blanco Topping.
Yeah, thank you so much, and good morning to everyone. This began in 2000, maybe 23,
yeah.
somewhere there. And we got an invitation. Dr. Lahing and myself, and the dean, Dr. Brown, has been attending Stanford University for a little while with these topics, and they had the opportunity to include us as part of the training. There was a grant, and we were blessed to be part of it. And Dr. Lahing and myself attended the first meeting, and then later on, Dr. Burden also was blessed with being there. Mm-hmm. So we learned a lot from that experience.
So it's really training in design thinking.
Okay.
And so design thinking is an iterative problem-solving approach that emphasizing understanding users and creating innovative solutions through prototyping and testing.
Okay, you got to break that down for the layman. Okay.
I would say, so in layman's terms, what this design thinking and learning does is it allows you to be creative, it allows you to be innovative, and it allows you to use tools that sometimes we ignore to stimulate learning environment that breeds more of your senses, more of your intellect outside of book knowledge.
Okay.
So it's more of an artistic approach to learning, as well as, even for my engineers out there, it almost could be like engineering that learning environment in space and not being pigeonholed to just the traditional aspects of a classroom or the traditional aspects of understanding various topics in an educational environment.
So give us an example of make that really plain for us, and what that might look like in the classroom.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm still in this thunder through. But special thanks to also Mrs. Brooks, who is just amazing. She's our office administrator in the School of Business. And so what happens is you'll walk into our space, which you will see tables, you will see chairs, you will see boards, you will see special types of markers.
Art supplies,
you'll see
Legos.
art supplies. You'll see Legos.
Okay.
But that space can be transformed to whatever you like. So we might just say that for this topic, we need more conversation. Let's move the desks out. Let's put our special seating on the floor, and let's sit in a circle together. Take out sticky notes and write down one word that comes to mind when you think of this topic. And then let's take those sticky notes and let's build upon that on our boards from those thoughts and create thought webs while we're still in this environment. And we might have some music playing, we might have some water playing.
Some water.
Like the sounds of water. You might hear
Waterfall?
that. Yeah,
Really?
waterfalls or
Music.
anything
This is
to
a
create.
classroom y'all
yeah,
talking about?
exactly. Right.
Correct.
Okay.
It's
So-
not traditional.
Definitely
not your traditional,
Not. I
and
wish
so-
I had that when I was in elementary
know.
school. Because this is not just for college. This is
No, it's K
from
to
K
16,
through 16.
both students and
okay,
faculty.
continue, because this is sounding really good.
And so what it does is we kind of tap into some of those creative senses that you might not have thought of if you were just sitting at a desk. in a chair in an isolated environment. But sometimes when you come together and you sit on the floor within a community, it's a whole different type of brainstorming idea. And that's just one. I'll pass it on.
Yeah.
We put you in a position to think creatively.
Okay.
And we foster an environment where you're able to tackle problems within your organization that it's a much easier space to tackle them in compared with a boardroom, right? And
Yeah.
so one of the sticky note conversations might be, what's the largest issue facing the university or your department in the next year, next 5 years, next 10 years? Okay, and then we'll do another sticky note that says, what are possible solutions to those issues? And so you have it split out on the whiteboard, and so you'll have a blueprint by the end of the hour of all of these things based on the feedback of those participating. And so we document that, and we help try and do problem solving with that.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll add to that from the business perspective. It's like there's a gap, and there we have to find a solution. But how can we integrate this in an innovative way? For instance, critical thinking way. And I remember we went to Stanford and we went to a salon with music.
Yeah.
And as a teamwork, we were moving around and following the music. So it kind of brings us together to understand the background and how can we synchronize as a team to move forward.
Right.
So that was definitely amazing to
Wow.
understand that music, even going to the park, listening to the birds, searching for something new, and how that can integrate within the solution that we're putting forward.
Now, these seminars in this classroom that you are talking about is really for teachers so they can implement these tools?
Not just teachers.
It's for everybody.
Okay.
We are forever learners. And
Okay.
so we have trainings for leaders.
And when you say
as-
leaders, like, does it have to be leaders in education?
No,
or-
No.
Our very first seminar,
Yeah.
was it December?
Yes, December
Last December we
of
launched
2025.
during PELC
Okay.
and did a lunch and learn seminar called Ambiguity in Leadership within the church. And so we invited both lay people and pastors who wanted to come, and we fed them, and we talked about what are the biggest issues facing your church. What profile does your church have? What's the biggest issue you deal with within leadership? And what are ways that we can apply design thinking to make it a better process for you?
Wow. So
Yeah.
you have pastors, you
when
have
we
teachers.
when
you
we
got-
when we talk about educators, it's not so much trying to educate them, right? Because usually they already come with their knowledge base, but it's more so how can you present to the classroom in a different way that you might not have thought of. So instead of those traditional models of teaching, we try
There's
to
no lecture.
we try to push the limit to say, hey, you don't need to just stand up and lecture. You don't need to just give maybe your standardized testing with circling in. How can you educate in a way that, again, fosters creativity, fosters innovation, fosters also an environment that's going to remain attentive. One thing
Yeah,
that when we were at Stanford, the different environments, nobody ever slept off. Nobody was
No one was
disengaged.
dozing off.
Yeah, everyone was learning, and we see, especially with this generation, after COVID, that we cannot stick with the traditional teaching models.
Wow.
Their
We
attention
need to
span is so short.
We have to incorporate design principles into how we educate everyone.
So you wanted to add to
No,
that?
it's
'Cause I
like
got- go ahead.
99% of the time is about hands-on.
Okay.
More than technology. Technology can be incorporated, but it's hands-on on the board, and there's a process. We define, then we ideate. Okay, how do we solve this? Then we have a prototype. We test it, and then we run it,
Wow.
and then from there we go over and over. But it is open to every field, everyone, even members of the community. You don't have to have education, but we can help you to solve and to get or to break that stigma, for instance.
Okay.
And that's what it's about. More than that.
So does that also mean that whoever gets this training or goes to this seminar can walk away and use what they've learned in different
Yes.
scenarios other
Absolutely.
than the classroom?
Yes.
Yes.
Give us an example of what that might be.
So the first one with the pastors, none of these pastors are traditional teachers. And so one of the major topics they dealt with was clashes that they had internally within their church structure with their local boards. They'll have a ministry idea, and the board will be very conservative in their spending or what they want to do towards that ministry idea. And so we really worked with dealing with how, as a pastor, you could communicate fully your vision and get buy-in on that vision while at the same time seeing the stresses and the issues from the board's perspective on what it means to step out, especially in faith in a time like this with the budgets as they are, to invest in new, maybe unproven ideas. And so our very first step was outside of the classroom, into the real world, into the church.
So it also can come from a cultural standpoint. So back in June of 2024, around the time of Juneteenth, myself and Dr. Kenneth Mercury and Dr. Theodore Brown, who's the dean of the School of Business, we all had the pleasure of being a part of and attending Black Design Week. And this was an immersive program for HBCU scholars all across the United States to come together at Tennessee State University in Nashville for a week where we immersed ourselves in design thinking, but from an African American cultural standpoint. So, for example, one of the sessions was we had a paper cutout of a cassette tape. And we did an exercise where we created a song that encompassed our life, right? That encompassed the soundtrack to our life in the moment.
Okay.
And so once we sat down and we wrote out how we were feeling, how we were doing, we tapped into all of our senses and came up and named our soundtrack of our song. And we took that with us. And the next assignment was to reassess, is this still your soundtrack 6 months?
Okay.
Or has it changed? And how does your new soundtrack to your life go this time? And it was a great experience because we got to tap into music. So music was playing while we were doing this, all different types of genres. But also, too, it helped us to really internally say, how are you doing? How are you feeling? A lot of times in the space, especially of education, we're teaching, we're giving to others, but we don't really assess how we're feeling, how we're doing during these times. So it was a wonderful experience.
And just to give you a sense of how wide-ranging we are, Dr. Burton's background is law. My background is chemistry and biology. And so even though we're not traditionally business-minded or oriented or trained classically, we're still able to work together. This is very much an interdisciplinary opportunity,
Wow.
even though we're based in the business department.
So like I said, I love this idea because as a creative, I wish I had this type of classroom when I was in school because I struggled through school, especially elementary because I was dyslexic and wasn't doing well with reading and all this kind of stuff. But I know that I could have probably learned faster and captured the knowledge or whatever I needed in the classroom better. So for those who are not though creative, because everybody does not learn the same way.
Correct.
So that would have been perfect for me. But what about that intellect, that person that is, not the creative and more, just
Black
an
and white.
introvert or,
Yeah, so-
how does this work along those platforms of populations that you might have in wherever you are trying to implement it?
It stretches you.
I was going to say, one of the number one things that you learn when you get this type of training is teamwork. The whole saying, teamwork makes the dream work. So everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. When you put them together, you have a masterpiece. And so what I liked about, especially when we went to Stanford, we were put in situations, like you called it, where
You're not comfortable.
painting is not my
Right.
thing, right?
I could care
I'm
less
good.
about
I
that,
can
right?
read,
Dance, no.
right? I'm not
Not me.
trying to dance. I'm trying to move.
Right.
Like even one thing was creating a vision board.
Okay.
I'm not
I've
trying to
never
cut
done
out
that.
stuff from magazines, but everyone had to do the assignment no matter their comfortability, and everybody had to glean something from the activity. But what we do in design principle is we don't have just one activity. So it's not just for the creatives. We do have those activities for the read, write, and the scientific people.
Right.
And so the creatives have to jump in and vice versa. So it takes more than one set activity, but it takes kind of a combination of various activities within our sessions. So as Dr. Lahim said, for our sections, for our PELC leaders, we did about 4 different types of activities during that whole section. So I was the icebreaker. I wanted people to get uncomfortable and say, what is the one issue in your church right now that you had to deal with that was not comfortable for you.
And
Right.
we gave them a safe space. And so
Yep.
the
Wow.
answers
It's-
were really interesting to hear the pastors sort of relax and say what was really on their mind.
Correct. And so that opened up the conversation to lead to the next.
Yeah, I remember
sessions.
one of the pastors mentioned that, man, I did not know that I didn't like to share my stuff. You know, I go about doing my work, but he was the one placed to write the stuff, and he was like on the side. Didn't want anyone to look at his
see
paper
or
and
know
say,
what he was doing.
man,
Okay.
this helped me a lot to understand how to connect with my community and with other leaders as well. So that was a
Yeah.
good
One
takeaway.
pastor was super frustrated because he said, "How could you trust me to lead
Yes.
and then not buy into my leadership?" And so he said, "You know, everything's going great, but they still are very skeptical of the ideas I have, even the small scale ones." And so we really work through that because I think that's something that a lot of pastors and those in leadership feel.
Yeah, so you found when you opened up and had that conversation, you found so many commonalities, but you also broke down that barrier of I don't want to share, I don't want to participate, to open up yourself for the next activity that you might have been more aligned with, which you could see the energy come out more in the room after that icebreaker to see I'm not alone in some of the issues that I'm facing as a leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is sounding, and I'm hoping that my listeners are also following as we're now understanding this is more about leadership development for
It's continuing ed, yeah.
continuing education. And so that's why it's for anybody from any background and whatever field they're in, whatever industry they're in, they can take these skills or this knowledge that can come out of the seminars and take them back to their areas.
And we tailor
And-
the seminars for different target groups.
Really? Tell us about that.
So the first one was for pastors. This week, in culmination of Alumni Weekend, we're actually doing an education-based one for K-12 is what our
Okay.
target is.
Okay.
And so Dr. Blanco, a couple of the topics this week, I know we're doing tech innovation within the classroom.
Okay.
Science
Science,
Yeah.
best practices within science and teaching innovation,
and math.
and math as well. And so
And
those are three different sessions we're
I
having.
gotta
And
hear
we're
about that
bringing
math
in
now. Okay.
we're bringing in experts in the field as well.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we lay out design principles and thoughts, but I'm not a math professor. Nobody's a math professor. So we bring in a math professor to utilize those design principles in
And
the
not
subject
everyone
matter.
can do it.
I know. I can imagine. That's
So
why I said
we're
I got to
bringing
hear
in-
about
so,
that
so
math.
Professor Gia Joseph, who's
Okay.
a fantastic innovative professor
Yes,
at
Gia
Oakwood,
is. That's my schoolmate.
dealing with engineering, and so we're
Yes.
bringing her in to talk to the high school and middle school teachers
Okay.
about best practices in the classroom at their level that will help translate to success at the undergrad level.
Would y'all happen to have an example of what?
One of the main things I
That's
know
just
she's
me
going to be
talking
one of the
now.
main things I know she's going to be talking about is bringing back the notion of the kids having individual whiteboards because the whiteboard is easier to erase. And so once you make this mistake on the whiteboard, instead of having to damage the paper and it's still there and it's still smudging and the kid can still see that the error's there, whiteboards are clean. You get a clean slate.
Oh, wow.
And so
That matters.
So it matters to kids, right? And so these are just ways to attack problem solving in the class. One of the main issues, especially in STEM and in chemistry too, is that it's the sage on the stage lecturing how to do a problem, and everyone just sits there, and some take notes and some don't take notes, and they're just supposed to get it by osmosis. It doesn't work. If you want to get good at something, you have to do repetition. And so building those sessions into the classroom, making them get up, find a whiteboard with a partner, work through all of these problems sequentially, and then we're going to diagnose and troubleshoot. And so now you've had rep before you even left the classroom to practice for your exam. You've done 10 or 15 of those within the active classroom setting with the expert there with you.
Yeah, it might be as simple as taking the classroom instead of the desk having somebody's back to another person. Let's put all the desks in a circle. So we feel like we're all trying to solve this problem together. Or let's go outside in nature and figure out how we can solve this problem. Let's get outside of the classroom where you feel anxiety, where you feel like you're not as smart as the students sitting next
Let's
to you.
take away the stigma of asking questions.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that was my scare.
I
In
just want
classroom.
to add that Professor Mr. Lethbridge was doing math.
Okay.
And Mr.
Ray Lethbridge?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Richard Harding will also do the
Yes.
science for that. I want to add that, for instance, people that are not educated, we can also go to the community and the environment and have them identify different issues or problems and then bring them together and say how can they go about working about this. They may not realize that these things are there, but once they have this conversation, they're like, okay, how can we solve this? Is it doing a newspaper? Is it going to the radio station? Is it sending a letter to the mayor? So these are things that we can definitely work on.
And I do want to say this is not something that we just made up.
Yeah.
We are all graduate trained in this from the Stanford. Stanford has their own school of design.
Their design school is extremely well known.
And they train professors from all over the entire world.
Okay.
And so our cohorts, we were in class with people from
Belgium,
Africa,
Spain.
from
All over
Spain,
the
from
place. All over the
China,
And it's
from
competitively,
Japan.
you're competitively chosen.
Yes,
for
and
the
it's
program.
competitively chosen. And you know, and it was paid for too, thanks to a grant. We were, especially as HBCU educators, we were selected to attend, and our cost of attendance was paid for as well.
It's a wonderful program.
So there are books. There has been a lot of research and study done in this area of thinking. And so our goal was to make sure that within our sphere, not just the HBCU community, but also the Adventist community, the Huntsville community, and the surrounding areas can have this type of training and knowledge. And so Dr. Brown,
He
thanks
had
for
the
his
vision.
leadership. He said, go with it. And we're ready. We're fully operational.
We're really excited to share a lot of these principles with you, and we do it. It's not 8 hours. We do it in hour sessions. It's not a long thing. You could come for one session. You could come for multiple sessions, and so it's really an opportunity we'd like to share.
All right, so these seminars are coming up this week, April the 2nd and the 3rd, and where they're going to be taking place?
School of Business. in
The
basement.
Business and Technology Building, McKee
Yeah.
Business and Technology Building at Oakwood University.
And I do want to emphasize that this one, we're targeting middle school and high school educators.
These
Yes.
seminars
Yes.
This week, yeah.
right? Okay.
Yes, so specifically if you teach grade 7 through 12.
Public or private?
Yes, public or private. We're looking for middle school and high school educators, and we're specifically focusing on science, technology, and math for this session.
So tell me, as leaders and educators, or just the community who want to come and be and take advantage of these seminars, what is ultimately the outcome or the accomplishment that they want to see in however way they implement these design principles?
Well, I think
Generally, I guess,
Yeah.
because what are they trying to accomplish?
Improved outcomes with the
Yeah.
students.
Okay.
Right?
There's a future-ready classroom. So what's need to be there? What resources that needs to be there, and how to go about them? Is it technology, or how to introduce the students to maths, for instance, best practices? And we're bringing on board all of these educators that can also have a conversation among them, going forward.
In education, our work product and how we are judged are on our outcomes of our students. And so the whole point of our teaching innovation arm of this program is to put educators, regardless of where they're educating or what they're educating, in the best possible position to make sure that their outcomes improve and that the students are in the best, put in the best place possible.
And also, education is fun. This
Yeah.
this is an environment. Learning is fun. We're forever learners, and how can we be creative? How can we switch up what we've been doing for the last few years? As educators, things can kind of become mundane and almost like systematic. But again, we're dealing with a different generation,
Very much
and
so.
we have to incorporate design principles in our ways in which we educate these generation of learners.
All righty. Well, we thank you guys for coming in. In the materials that you all sent me, and this is my final question, is who are your stakeholders? You talk about that, and what is their value in this program that you have?
Again, shout
Who
out
are
to
your
Dr.
stakeholders?
Theodore Brown.
I'm sure he's going to review this
The
footage.
dean, I know, right? I'm gunning for a raise. No, I'm just kidding. No, but no.
That's
In all
okay.
honesty, it is so beautiful and just so exciting to work for somebody who is just futuristic, who keeps up with the times and tradition, and we have that in our dean. We are a part of the School of Business. So when it comes to funding, resources, it all comes through the School of Business. And our dean, he doesn't tell us, no, I don't have the money.
No,
he
he
goes
finds it.
out,
He finds
he
it.
finds
He's such a huge
grants,
advocate.
he
Wow.
finds sponsors. And so we look forward to community partners, sponsors who want to really give to this initiative to ensure that design thinking and learning is for everyone. We also will have moments in which you can pay to attend certain things. So we will have some revenue generating events. But as
But this
for
one is
now,
free.
Yes,
it is
it's
free.
completely
So we
free.
will have free because our thing is we want to introduce design thinking and learning to our
So
community.
it's an outreach.
And so
Okay.
it is our outreach. But yes, for right now, the School of Business, they are the key contributors and supporters to making this happen.
He recruited us from
Yes.
out
Oh,
of
wow.
we
Yes.
weren't in business, and
Right.
he recruited both of
Yes.
us into the program, which
Yes.
just speaks to his vision.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so final time to share with our listening audience when these seminars are happening. Also, what is the capacity of each of the seminars? Just so you know, how many people can come to each seminar? Do you know that?
Yeah.
Room for you
Capping
got
at
room for
30.
About 30, yeah.
30?
Capping at 30.
Okay, capping
Yeah.
at 30. Okay, so you got to make sure you get there early. So again, they're going to be, Marcy, if you could tell us when these sessions are going to, these seminars are going to be happening, time, and do they need to register, anything like that?
Yes.
there
So
is.
we will make sure that you have the QR code. We do have a QR code for you to register. These seminars are going to be happening this week. The first one is April 2nd from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the McKee Business and Technology Building. So for those of you all who are familiar with the Oakwood University campus, this building is kind of a standalone building right off of Adventist Boulevard.
Right by the fountain.
Right by the fountain,
On
and you
Wind
will
Drive.
see it near Wind Drive and Adventist Boulevard at that intersection. Once you come into the building, you will take the elevator down to the basement level, and you will see the school.
We'll have signs. We'll have
You have
everything set up.
signs and everything
Yes,
out there.
and the next day will be April the 3rd from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So essentially Thursday and Friday this week from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We encourage all educators of grades 7 through 12.
7. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
7 through 12 to come to get training in design thinking and learning in the areas of science, technology, and math.
All right. Well, thank you so much, doctors, for
welcome.
coming in.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having
Thank
us.
you
All
for
right,
having us.
Dr. Burden, Dr. Lahing, and Dr. Topping, we thank you so much for sharing this powerful vision and the work that you're doing to shape our future classrooms.
Thank you.
And outside of beyond.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to Morning Joy.
This is WJOU 90.1 FM Huntsville, serving the Tennessee Valley, a broadcast service of Oakwood University, on the web at wjou.org.
Do you remember